and then we went to the Sea of Galilee, which, I mean, Father, that blew me away because it was it was bigger, it was more mountainous, it was more real. I mean, I always just kind of had a generic lake in my mind when I read the Gospels, like a big lake, and it
Yeah.
was magnificent.
I think perhaps of all the things that I'll take away from it, I think probably the most significant was just that sort of geographical setting of Galilee, getting to be familiar with that. I think our guides mentioned, that
Mm-hmm.
60% or more of the gospel took place right on the shore
Yes.
of the Sea of Galilee. And I think all the beautiful graces that came through the masses and so forth, I think I'll always appreciate having that setting in my mind. And like you said, I mean, with the mountains and stuff, I like to hike and go out west to Colorado, for my vacation and stuff. And I came away like Jesus was a man. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
he was a hiker. I mean, the Mount of Transfiguration was like that was a good hard hike. That's a mountain, and he was surrounded by and all these the walking that he would do from the Sea of Galilee around that area. It's mountains, and
Mm-hmm.
it was awesome to. Not that I didn't think of our Lord as masculine before, but just came away with that like they were tough people, and he was
Yeah.
a tough dude.
Yeah. And then, especially when we went to where he was tempted and all the locations, I kept on asking Giovanni, who was our guide in our bus. You were on the other bus, but I was like, so how long would it take to go from here, where we just went on the bus, to here? Because I'm
Yeah,
thinking of the stories in the gospel, and he's like, well, it'd take like 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours. So, I mean, to think of that, like our Lord, he's on the move
right.
everywhere.
And it was hot,
Yeah.
and it was a desert. A lot of certainly at least the traveling back and forth, you would pass through the desert a lot, and yeah, it was just the ruggedness of it and the bigness, and it just yeah, I think everybody, some of my friends that have been to Holy Land before said, you're going to come away with just a real. When you read the Bible, you'll always know what you're talking about now and what you'll see
Right.
in your head. And I think that was one of the many gifts of the pilgrimage for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night when I couldn't sleep. When I read the Lord of the Rings, I had like my whole Middle Earth in my mind and how everybody like. And then you saw the Peter Jackson films, like, I didn't really see it like that. I like mine better, right?
Yeah,
But this was the reverse. So I already had my Sea of Galilee and my Jerusalem and my mountain where you had the Beatitudes. I had all of that in my mind, and when I got there, I was like, this is so different than
yeah,
what I've imagined for decades reading the Bible. And it's not like the Peter Jackson thing where like, well, I like mine better. That's the real one. So I have to adjust everything that I've imagined and read in the Gospels to this new experience because that's
yeah.
what it really was.
Right, right. Yeah, just I think I imagined it all on a smaller scale.
Yeah,
I guess we always are looking at maps, in our Bibles, and it's just, the maps to scale, obviously, but until you see the scale, I was just thought, Peter he took Peter, James, and John up the mountain, but I thought it was a hill, like 10 feet, and
right.
they were at the top, and yeah, it's just awesome. It's
It was it
awesome,
was it was really a mountain. I mean,
yeah,
not a mountain like a Rocky Mountain, but
yeah,
the Mount of Transfiguration. I mean, it would take you a while, and you'd be huffing and puffing. Capernaum. We went to the synagogue where Jesus taught in Capernaum,
yeah,
and I walked up. I was dealing with the kids, and I came into the synagogue, and there you were, Father, and you were reading John 6.
right,
And I thought to myself, oh, it's kind of cool. He's reading John 6, Eucharist, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you'll have no life in you. And he was
yeah.
reading the whole thing. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And, whatever. And then you got to the very end and you said, how'd the ending go?
Doesn't it? It says something like he left the synagogue in Capernaum or
Yeah.
something like that. And
Yeah. And
when
you
you finally
realize,
realize he's given it in that
yeah.
synagogue, yeah,
And I thought to myself, whoa, this is where the bread of life discourse was. It wasn't like, on a hilltop with his hair flowing. It was inside of a synagogue with rabbis and Jewish men in a very Jewish context, and they're hearing these words: eat human flesh,
right.
drink human blood. Like, that's
Hmm.
against everything we know as Jews. And then right across from that was Peter's home.
Another thing that I did not realize how close, it's like across the street.
Yeah, I mean, what do you
Is
think? 70 meters?
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
Where Peter's mother-in-law that Jesus comes and heals is there. So
right,
70 feet away or whatever it is the synagogue where he gives the bread of life discourse. I just had no idea.
right. It's just all right there. You can in your mind's eye stand there and just imagine Jesus walking out of the synagogue, walking 70 meters, and there's Peter's house. He probably
Right.
spent the night there. He ate dinner there. Like you said, healed his mother-in-law. I'm sure he
Yeah.
spent countless nights, weeks, weekends right there.